Andrew Cuomo has been racked by multiple scandals.
Yes.
Ranging from covering up the numbers of deaths in nursing homes from COVID. In fact, also, I would say, including the decision to use nursing homes as a means of dealing with the initial COVID surge. We also have multiple reports now, I think 6 or 7 accusations by women of either workplace harassment, sexual harassment, or some other form of sexual harassment that they have in dealing with Andrew Cuomo. And there's a long line of issues with Andrew Cuomo. But what it has done is it apparently seems to have weakened his hand in dealing with lawmakers in this state. And that, from the perspective of people who want New York State to move forward and have some progress, is a good thing. Had a deal the other day. He signed legalization of marijuana, of cannabis in this state. And there is apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, lawmakers are very near a budget deal to raise income and corporate taxes in New York State. States are different than the federal government. They do need taxes to pay for things.
Yes.
States don't have the ability to print money. However, in New York, we've got a lot of very wealthy people. And right now, New York City's top income tax is 3.88%. That will go up by a point on the state tax. So income over $5 million will be taxed at 10.3%. Income over $25 million will be taxed at 10.9%. Please, folks, try and keep yourself together. I know this is painful for people. People are very upset about this. It's sad to hear that.
You talking about taxes or the taxes being
well,
raised?
you know, you're making only $5 million a year, and you're
Right.
going to have a slight bump, not even a full percentage point. Taxes would rise from 9.65% from 8.82% for single filers reporting more than $1 million of income and joint filers reporting more than $2 million of income. This is going to have a boon for the state. These individuals, I think, will be able to manage.
Yeah, but maybe they'll just have to move to a state that respects their wealthy values, like Florida.
Right.
No
Enjoy
income tax.
it, folks. Exactly.
Yeah. Go party with Matt Gaetz down there.
Indeed. But so this is the dynamic that's happening. But there's another interesting dynamic that's happening that's apropos for our guest today in New York State as part of this. This is a report from CBS 6 in Albany, and Albany being the capital of New York State. Undocumented residents and advocates are calling for financial assistance during COVID. And let's play this clip.
Well, dozens of ralliers marched through the Empire State Plaza concourse this afternoon. They were calling on lawmakers to provide billions of dollars in relief for tax-paying undocumented workers. As CBS 6's Brianna Supardi reports, they say it's money that they're also entitled to.
Yeah, you've been paying rent for me and working so I could eat and have food at the table and so I could have a home to live in.
A young girl's plea to New York State lawmakers as she talks about her father, one of thousands of undocumented workers struggling to make ends meet, excluded from any financial assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic. Dozens of people rallied at the Empire State Plaza concourse today, calling for the state legislature and Governor Cuomo to include $3.5 billion in the state budget for relief for New Yorkers who have been excluded in receiving state and federal aid, including unemployment and rent relief.
They're in dire straits, facing eviction, facing hunger. They are New Yorkers who are struggling, and they deserve the same dignity as every other New Yorker that works in New York State.
And you said they are paying taxes.
They absolutely pay taxes. Undocumented folks pay taxes every single year.
According to the Fiscal Policy Institute, undocumented New Yorkers pay $1.1 billion annually in state and local sales, property, and income taxes.
Because as a legislator, sometimes you make hard decisions. believe me. But this is not a hard decision.
New York State Senator Jabari Brisport was just one of a handful of lawmakers at the rally calling on his colleagues and the governor to provide this funding in the budget.
We talk about people that have been struggling the past year. These people have been struggling even worse. They haven't gotten anything, and this is a one shot to help them.
I reached out to the governor's office and the offices of Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie and Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins, but have not heard back at this time.
So Cuomo is feeling the heat based on the scandals that you listed. He has agreed to marijuana legalization, ending for the most part, or at least scaling back solitary confinement in jails, doing some progressive priorities based on the personal accusations that he's facing. He should just resign, but I digress. This should be another one where he should be feeling immense heat on this.
It's also lawmakers, and the interesting thing is you hear how this is framed, and this seems like we've heard these type of controversies in the past. In fact, AOC voted against the first CARES Act because it didn't provide anything for undocumented immigrants. The idea that they also have to sell the idea that, like, well, look, there's $1 billion worth of taxes being paid. These people are owed this money, as opposed to the idea of just like, well, they're human beings who live in this state and they need support. They need places to live and to eat. And the idea that this is controversial, that we would provide services for undocumented immigrants in this country, putting even aside the question of whether it's a net economic gain in terms of taxes, is a relatively new phenomena in this country.